Hi everybody, it's Lori Bradley and I'm here in St. Louis, Missouri today. It's a little bit warmer, a little bit less icky. It has rained for so long that I'm just grateful that there's only clouds in the sky right now. I am here on Thursday because yesterday I got the exciting task of finishing my taxes. My husband has his stuff ready and he was like, hello, I need yours. So I figured that I should probably do my tax stuff before I made cards. So thank you for your patience. Thanks for joining me today on Thursday instead of Wednesday. And today I'm going to show you a bundle and a suite, the Textured Notes bundle and I just lost the name of the suite, the Botanical Textures Suite. There we go. And it has two designer series paper. They're both neutrals. One is more of a black, white, gray sort of color scheme. The other one has crumb cake, pecan pie, early espresso browns. And if you've been around for more than 5 minutes, you know that I'm not fully a neutrals kind of girl. So I'm branching out a little bit to use these today. But this suite comes with two designer series papers. There is a mini corrugated 3D embossing folder. There's a white ribbon and some neutral gems. And I'm going to use all of those today so you can get a feel for what this suite is all about. So let's make some cards. Be around here. Had a little trouble getting my place set, so hopefully we are okay. All right. So in front of me, I have the mini corrugated embossing folder, and it's just a cute little what you think of when you think of corrugated cardboard. It's not a huge ridge. It's small. It's a smaller thing, and I do have a tip about that when we get to that. So I'm going to show you that in a little bit. Let me just go ahead and show you what we've got here in the suite really quick. There's the neutral gems. We're going to use those in just a minute as well. And we have the bundle and the stamp set. It's all about thank you. It's about appreciation. You're seriously the best. And they're kind of 3D. I can't wait to show you this basket because the more it sits after I stamped it, I think it looks really cool. And then the dies don't actually cut out the leaves or the flowers or the circles. They are just rectangles that are patterned around the edge. You can see the textured pieces around the outside, and they're all different. They're all just a little bit different. This one would be a card base size. I'm going to sneeze and I apologize. I feel it coming, so bear with me for just a second. I'm going to try to avoid it, but I think it's coming. Goodness gracious, maybe it's passed. Oh my goodness. So they're all very pretty textures around the outside. So we're going to use probably 4 of those today. All right, then the papers, really quick. The black patterns, there are 2 of each one, so there's 6 pieces, 6 different patterns, and like I said, they're all black and white. You could use these with any, add any color that you wanted to. You can color. We are going to color one of our cards today. Some of my pieces. Oh, here we go. This one's kind of fun. It looks like leaves that are kind of not artsy, but they're sort of modeled a little bit. We have some open leaves, some black and gray leaves, and then that one. Okay, then the other paper, then we'll move on to making cards, is all about ropes and textures and basket weaves. And this piece of paper I think is one of the coolest pieces of paper I've ever seen. I don't really know why. It just makes me happy. And I see this as a background for a scrapbook page. So if you're a scrapbooker, this particular package of paper may be just the thing that you need. And then this one reminds me of my basket that sits on my fireplace that has my all my orders in it that I need to deliver to people. So that's what that one reminds me of. And then that one, I'm sure I've had some basket. My mom used to have baskets in our house all the time. She had a million of them. And so some of these remind me of that. This one's just a kind of a subtle linen look. Then we have a rope weave kind of a basket. This one only has 4 different patterns, and you can't maybe tell in the pictures how cool these are, but if you look really close, it really looks like it is a printed picture. it looks like someone took a picture of braided, weaved ropes or baskets and printed it. Like that's what it actually looks like. So it's not a drawn thing. It's actually a picture that's been made into designer series paper, which I think is so cool. Okay. Hey there, Kathy. Thanks for joining me. All right, I'm going to start simple. I am going to use one die. I'm going to make a simple note card. And I'm going to start with that. And I did cut a panel using the textured notes dies. I started there, and actually what I'm going to make right now is going to be a smidge different than my sample, because after I got it done, I thought, oh, I don't know, I think I want this instead. So I have cut one of the dies, and it fits right on the front of our note card. This could easily be a Stamp Inks paper, and so you wouldn't even have to use the die, but I think it just adds a little bit. So I've got my card base, which there are 20 of these in a pack, and they're $10, and they come with the envelopes. It's a great deal. Yeah, I think this is a cool suite. It is an online exclusive. I forgot to say that because I do love showing you the online exclusives. But I literally am using every single stamp in this stamp set today. I'm so proud of myself. So anyway, hope y'all are proud of me too. Hey Monica, glad you could join us. I think you and Kathy both are in the process of moving, so I'm glad that you're both here. All right, I'm gonna start with this one. And it's the round basket, which is sort of like the first paper that I showed you. But I want to stamp off, and I'm stamping that in crumb cake. I'm going to stamp off because I don't want it to be too dark. And I'm just going to stamp it right about there. Okay, I set that aside. I'm going to have to wash all my stamps as we go here today because I've got different colors going. And like I said, I'm using every single one, so I'm excited about that. All right, this one, I'm going to stamp the the leaf. It's the longer leaf pattern. I'm going to stamp that in pecan pie, but again, I'm going to stamp off, and I'm just going to let it go kind of off the side, like that. We're going to put a strip of the designer series paper down here, so it doesn't matter that that end of that stem is sort of just hanging. Okay, so I've got the stem. Now, this one, I'm going to use a different, actually, let me show you, and I'm going to let you choose. I used this one for the bottom of my first piece. I'm not sure why my camera seems so far away, because on my screen it does not look that way. All right, hopefully you can see this. Or I may use the rope instead. I think I'm going to use this particular rope pattern in this time, just to switch it up a little bit. But if you just love this particular weave, let me know. But I think I'm going to use the darker one. And because I'm going to use the darker one, I'm going to do my words in early espresso instead of pecan pie. And I'm going to add a darker leaf, just so I can bring out that dark brown in here. Okay, so I'm going to start that one. And it's just layering, just layered my, there we go, layered my leaves. And I'm going to make sure that I clean these because, like I said, I'm going to use all of these again in just a minute, and I don't want to get Lost Lagoon or crumb cake in my whatever color. All right, then the other thing I need to do is I need to stamp a little note of appreciation. Isn't that delicate font very pretty? So I'm going to do that. Now, to figure out where I'm going to put that, I'm going to glue a strip of the designer series paper right across the bottom. This is going to go down, and it's not going to be quite as dark. So I had that problem with Lost Lagoon earlier, and I was like, whoa. So I'm just going to put this, lay it down. I don't want to glue it because I don't want to get stuck with it not being straight. So I just want to know where to put my words, and I'm just going to put those right along the top there. Okay. All right, then I'm going to put some glue across here, and I'm going to liquid glue that right on. And I realize that my strip is way too long. Oh, I should put some on here. Okay. And it's 1 inch wide. So I'm just going to glue that right across here. So it covers up all those stems that we didn't want to see. And it goes all the way to the end. Now you can take your paper trimmer, or you can just take your paper snips, whichever is easier. My paper snips are laying right here, and I'm just going to trim that right along the edge. And then I'll set these aside. So now we have our bottom piece. And like I said, that leaf right there is going to lighten just a little bit, and I got just a little bit over too far. I wiggled. So with the liquid glue, I can move that. So let's wiggle it back just a smidge. There we go. Okay, so we've got our note. Set those aside. We're going to put that on the front of the card. And because this is just a note card, the note card envelopes are a little bit tighter. They're a little bit tighter fit. So I don't want to put too many layers, but if I go ahead and put a sheet of dimensionals, I can do dimensionals on this one layer, I think, and I think it'll still be okay in our envelope. But just keep that in mind if you are using the note cards. I love the note cards. I think they're wonderful, but just make sure that whatever your project is will fit inside. Okay, I'm going to put that right on the front. Just like that. Now, I am going to take the rope weave, which kind of looks the same. The stamp looks pretty much the same as this paper that I just used. I'm going to do crumb cake, and I'm going to stamp off because I don't want it to be too dark. But I'm going to just put a little rope weave right on the inside of my card. Like that, just to give a little interest on the inside. I'm going to flip it over so that they don't look like they're identical. And then I'm just going to put one up here in this corner. Just like that. And I forgot to stamp off on that one, but I think it'll be okay. And you could do another one if you wanted, since I already, like, you could do one. There you go. So it looks just like, I was afraid to connect them because I wouldn't line them up. So there you have it. Okay, now I'm not going to put any ribbon on this one. I don't think. I could do a linen bow here, I think, but I think that might be too bulky. So let's use our neutral dots. And they are crumb cake. I believe that's vanilla. It's either, actually, it may be basic beige, basic black, and white. So let's add a couple of gems. I'm going to go ahead and use, actually, is it crumb cake or is it pecan pie? Oh my goodness, I think they're pecan pie. So let's just put a couple of those on, just to add a little bit of oomph. All right, so I'm going to let this sit because that is definitely going to get a little bit lighter, like I said. But there you go. There's two different cards, are pretty much identical. I just switched out the paper and changed the ink color. All right, let's move to card number 2. Card number 2. I used the same pack of paper. I used that neutral brown color, and I'm going to use the linen piece that goes to go behind here. And I'm actually going to close all my ink pads that I don't need because that's a little scary. All right, so my excitement this week is that we have a German exchange student coming, and he's coming tomorrow. So that'll be an exciting thing, and hopefully, I don't think he would let me video him for you, but look for some pictures because we're going to have some adventures over the next couple of weeks. So that's exciting here at our house. All right, so I've got my Lost Lagoon base. I think the Lost Lagoon is a nice soft base. I've got one piece of white, which is going to be our inside panel, and then I have another piece of 4 by 5 1/4 that's going to be the inside of the card. So I'm going to go ahead and put the front piece on. We're going to build from the front. This one I brought in, a couple of other, I brought in another color. I brought in the linen thread because you all know that I love linen thread. Oop, I wanted that to be the front because we're going to build that and we're going to stamp on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp on that one so I can get that glued in there too. And I'm going to stamp with Lost Lagoon. And I'm going to stamp this big leaf, the bigger leaf pattern that we just used. Yeah, I cleaned it. Do it full strength, and I'm just going to do it down in that corner. Okay, so that way I can still write what I want to write. Clean this off really quick. If you don't have a Simply Chamois, you need one in your life. The Simply Chamois is awesome. You just wet it and then wipe it off. It looks ugly after a certain period of time. If you want to clean it, you can throw it in your washing machine, or you can just rinse it out in the sink until no colors are on it. But it's a great tool to have. All right, so I'm going to be using that a lot today. Okay, we're going to put our inside panel just like that. All right, now we're going to start building the front. I have cut a piece of Designer Series paper. I have the die cut ready, and I have a piece of Lost Lagoon. Okay, so we're going to just kind of put those together and glue those onto, I hope I can do this without, I kind of had it where I wanted it right there, so. Okay. Put the glue on the back. And there's no right or wrong. I just did it a little bit cattywampus. Just like that. Got our layer down. That was pretty easy. I just had a strip. It was 1.5 by 4 3/4, I think. And this one is 3. Yeah, 3 by 4 3/4. I didn't want it to cover the whole thing, but I wanted it to be enough on the front there that there was not just a white panel. Okay, so then let's stamp our leaves, which we just did in the Lost Lagoon. So I need to wipe those off because we're going to do it in crumb cake this time. Okay. All I need is my crumb cake ink pad right now. Actually, while I have my Lost Lagoon, let's go ahead and stamp our sentiment, which is scary because I already die cut it. It's super tiny, and I'm going to try my best to get this straight. And of course, now there's people watching me, so that makes it even worse. All right, so this one's going to say you're seriously the best. So it doesn't have to be a thank you. It could just be somebody who is, you know, a big part of your life, who's exciting and, you know, is one of your favorite people. All right, so we're going to stamp this. Wish me luck. Whew, I got it on there. Okay, thank goodness. All right, so I'm going to set that aside, let that dry. Now I can breathe easy because I already got that. All right, so I've got my crumb cake ink, and we're just going to stamp the basket. I'm going to use this basket again, this little circle, stamp off, and then somewhere right in there. Again, there's no right or wrong. You can put it wherever you want. And then I'm going to use this leaf again. I'm going to stamp off with that also because I don't want it to be too dark, although it could be. Yeah. Let's. It is getting darker and darker outside my window right now. Like it looks like it could pour rain any minute, and I'm thinking the lighting looks different, and then I looked up and it's really dark outside. So if you're wondering why my colors are off, it's because all of a sudden it's dark. All right, I did need my Lost Lagoon one more time. I'm going to stamp the little leaf pattern. I'm going to stamp that with Lost Lagoon, stamp off for that, and just maybe put some Lost Lagoon right here. Okay, that's going to cover. It's okay that it's sort of watercolory. We just needed that little bit of color. Now, I'm going to do a leaf for the front, and I already halfway fussy cut it, fancy cut, so that you didn't have to watch me cut the whole thing. But I did want to show you when you're going to cut out something with your scissors. Sometimes you move your scissors and you're like, this is really hard. If you just hold your scissors in one spot and move your paper, and sometimes I cut my paper off just so it's not as big and bulky, so you can see that I cut that already. Got this piece, and then I'm going to come around on the other side and do the same thing, but it's so much easier to just move your paper. Kind of keep your, I am going to come down to this leaf. Just keep your paper, your scissors still, and move that paper so you don't have to worry too much. You notice my scissors are still in the same direction, and I'm cutting around them. Aren't you glad I cut half of it so you didn't have to watch me do the whole thing? Thought so. All right, I'm going to come into my leaf, and then I'm going to move that around. And sometimes I just take it little bits at a time. I just keep, you know, do I want that to be out? Do I not? And then eventually you get around to the other side. And the bottom part of this is going to be covered, so if you want to cut around that little leaf, you can. You don't have to. We could have stamped this directly on our thing too, but I wanted to add a little bit of dimension to it. All right, I like the, yeah, it's just really dark. It's crazy. All right, so we're going to glue this one on here. So it's going to cover up some of that, but we still got some of that color. We can still see the basket. We can still see this leaf over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue on the bottom, like on the very bottom, and then I'm going to put a couple of dimensionals so that it stands up just a little bit. So it's flat at the bottom because it's going to go underneath our sentiment piece. But then I'm going to use a couple of mini dimensionals. To go at the top. There we go. I just touched the glue because I forgot that it was there. Probably should have done that last. Okay. And I'm just going to put that maybe right in there. So this part is flat, so our sentiment piece should not be a problem. Okay, and then our sentiment's going to go right here, and I'm going to center it over like this, and I'm going to put a ribbon. I'm going to put some linen thread. I was going to say, I had to stop and think where it was. And I'm just going to tie a small loop-de-loop around. I think the first one I did was a little too big. I love my paper snips, but I do not love them for ribbon. So I have a pair of contraband scissors for that I love. All right, I'm just gonna put that so it's kind of just off to the left side. And I'm gonna use my tape. It has to be a small piece of tape because it's a very narrow sentiment piece. And now it's raining, so I guess there was a reason why it got dark. Okay. So we have our ribbon, just a little linen thread. Goes perfectly with our linen-y look paper. And then I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of this. I'm going to make sure I put one on each end so that it's off the sides, and that makes it easier for that. Make sure it sticks. And then I'm going to put one in the middle because I don't want my ribbon to get stuck. Okay. But before I do that, I'm going to attach this one, and I'm going to attach this straight, kind of in the middle. You know what? I'm going to do it flat. I did my other one on dimensional, so I'm going to do it flat so that my ribbon is all the same height. Because I had to move my sentiment piece and glue it in the middle and dimensionals on the end, and then I had a lump here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this piece flat, and then that way my dimensionals will be all good. Like that. And then we will add our dimensional sentiment piece. And it's going to cover the ends right there. There's no right or wrong place to put that, but that way it's going to cover the spot right there. All right, for this one, I'm going to use this kind of neutrally color right here. I'm not sure the white shows up well enough, so I'm going to go ahead and use this. I think it's basic beige. I'm going to cover up that little spot. Not sure how I did that. Probably my gluey fingers. And then actually, sometimes I overthink it, sometimes I don't. Right there. All right, so I think that's better. That's all one. It's not crooked like this one was. All right, now the last card we're gonna make today is also a neutral. It's black and white, but I added a color and I haven't shown that yet. So if you have a guess on which color I might be using, let me know what you think, because I'm probably gonna tell you that I doubt that you're right. You'll be very surprised. So you have like 12 seconds to figure that out. All right, I'm going to use this particular piece of paper, and this is going to be my background panel. So if you have a guess on what color I'm going to use, now is your chance. It's your last chance. Clean off this stamp. Okay, no guesses. You're going to be surprised. You ready? We are using Old Olive. It's true. I'm going to use Old Olive. I thought that was a perfect leaf color. Again, so I'm using neutrals and Old Olive. But I'm going to, I think the black and white is great, but I'm going to take my Stampin' Blends and I'm going to color my leaves. I'm not going to be real particular about it. I'm just going to color those. I actually just got a brand new Old Olive set of blends, which is super exciting. And I don't even have to do the middle because that's going to be covered. So I'm going to color my leaves quickly. It doesn't have to be, because this is sort of a watercolory sort of look. Use the dark first to kind of do our shading in these leaves. And then we can come around and blend in with the lighter green. You can do this with any color. Of course, the black and white and the leaves sort of tends to, go to the green, but if you had flowers or just the regular black and white, you take your blending brush and color that so that it was Lost Lagoon or Pretty Peacock or whatever color that you wanted your background to be. It wouldn't have to just be black and white. So we have Old Olive leaves, working on those. And just blend those colors together. And like I said, doesn't have to be perfect, because most of it's going to be covered anyway. I just wanted that color. Some of you are super duper colors, and some of you are like, nope, not doing it. And I already did fancy cutting, so some of you I know are like, nope, not doing that either. So I'm striking out today, I think, with my choices. But I think, just a smidge out of the line. I could grab my color lifter, but I don't know if it's that important. And you don't have to watch me for 2 hours to color 6 leaves. All right, so we have our leaves. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and color this one too. I'm not sure how high my piece goes. Okay, now I have a little panel of the Old Olive that I've run through with my the mini corrugated embossing folder. And I'm going to put that in the middle. But actually, let's go ahead and let's get our card base ready. So we can go ahead and glue this piece down. It's ready. If we have to color it a little bit more, then we don't have to worry about it. The one thing, and you can see this on this paper, if you are using Stampin' Blends, make sure that you have your work surface covered with a paper, because you can see that the ink does come through. Okay, so make sure your surface is covered if you're working on your fancy dining room table or some such thing like that, so you don't have Stampin' Blend ink all over your table, because I guarantee you'd probably be super sad about that. All right, so I have my 4x5 1/4 panel. That's centered. All right, now, I have another die cut piece that I've got here, and then I have a dark strip. I wanted a dark strip to offset that lighter strip, and then I have the ribbon. Okay. All right, so I'm going to stamp the smaller leaf pattern. I'm going to stamp that with Old Olive. And I'm going to stamp off because I don't want it to be super, super dark. I just want it to be kind of a background accent. Like that. And then I'm going to stamp thank you. This is a thank you card. Like I said, it's all about appreciation today. I'm going to stamp thank you. And I just love this font. Again, it's just a delicate, not heavy-handed font, just a delicate piece. Okay. Then, you know what I don't have? Let me grab a white piece for my inside because I want to stamp that leaf on the inside too. It's right here. I think an extra leaf on the inside would be perfect. So let's, you know what, let's do the little one again. And I'm going to do that in the Old Olive. I don't want to get that one messed up. Stamp off. How about that? So then our inside is a little bit decorated. Also, you could easily do that with your envelope. You could stamp on your envelope flap. You could stamp it on the front. It's entirely up to you, but it does add just a little bit. You could also cut a piece of your designer series paper to fit your envelope flap. That's always a fun addition. Then the mailman will wonder what fancy things are going through the mail, right? Okay, there's our inside. Now let's build the front. First is going to be this, but I'm not going to glue it on yet because I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a white ribbon. And this white ribbon is kind of a woven ribbon. It's soft. It's pretty light, but you can see that it has that texture. It looks pretty much like the woven textures on our paper. So I think they did a great job in coordinating this one. And since this is the black and white, I'm going to go ahead and use the white ribbon. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to do a bow or just a knot. I did a knot on this one. I think it's enough. I think it's enough. So back off here just a little bit. And just tie a knot. And this will be the left side of the card. So I'm just going to make sure that I've got that as far over as I can on this corrugated panel. I want to do stripes and then run it through the corrugated panel and see the embossing folder and see how I like that. Oh, I think I want this in the middle. Pull it tight and then just in the middle. Just like that. It's going to lay flat when I get it. Alright, just got to fiddle with it just a little bit until it makes you happy. Then this piece will go on dimensionals on there. But before I put it on there, I'm going to attach this black piece behind it. And I'm just going to attach it so that it's centered top and bottom. This side I'm going to have it hang off just a little bit. So I'm going to put the glue on the back of the white panel so that if I get too much, then I'm at least in the right spot. And then I can hold it up and I can look at it and see where I want that. Okay, so I've got the dark contrast designer series paper attached to the back, and then we're going to dimensional that. You can use either the big or the mini ones. I'm going to use the bigger ones because they take less time. To make sure it was on the sturdy part there. I am seriously not sure why my camera this week and last has been farther away, and it's in exactly the same spot it usually is. Kind of strange. Because it doesn't look like, it looks closer up on my phone, which is in the holder, so I'm not sure what the story is there. Alright, so then we're going to attach this onto this panel, and that's going to hold that ribbon right there in place. I'm going to try to center my sentiment on that old olive panel. There we go. Now, you could probably use glue or adhesive on the back of this, but I'm going to go ahead and put more dimensionals on the back because that's so bumpy that I'm not sure that it will stay together or stay attached. It'll stay together, but I just want to make sure it stays on the front of my card and doesn't fall off, and then, you know, Aunt Susie's telling you that, oh, that card you sent me fell apart. That's embarrassing. So we're not going to do that. Got our thank you. All of my leaves. Oh. This leaf right here needs a little bit of color. I just realized. So see, before you attach, make sure that you can see which of your leaves are going to show. Glad I saw that before I attached it. Would have been not fun to try to color those leaves with that panel in the way. Okay, and that dries very quickly because it is alcohol based. So with the light here, it's pretty warm. So that's helpful as well. If we used regular markers, we'd be waiting for those. And now we can put it on here and not have to worry about it. But the one thing that I probably should have done was put a dimensional on each end of that black so that it doesn't get caught on things. That was probably would have been a good thing to do. So I'm gonna raise that up, stick a dimensional underneath it, just so it's not flapping in the breeze. All right, so, and then we're gonna trim our knot. And again, I'm gonna fiddle with this a little more. And we need some black gems, right? We need some bling. And these are not really blingy. They are definitely very, they're kind of a matte. So they're not shiny. They're just a flat piece. Actually, I think I'm just going to put one on that because the card's kind of busy. It's got the polka dots, you know, the speckles in the back with the leaves. All right, so here's our card today. Textured Notes bundle along with the Botanical Textures, you know, suite of products. We've got a note card, a little note of appreciation. We've got You're Simply the Best. We've got Thank You. And that is our cards for today. I will look forward to seeing you next week. Just a side note, if you stuck with me this long, thank you. But I just wanted to tell you and make sure that you knew that starting next week, everyone will get customer rewards. And so you don't have to host a party to get rewards anymore. It's switching. Stampin' Up! Is switching to a customer reward system. So everybody who places a $20 or more order will get rewards. And I will talk a little bit more about that next week and give everybody the details. But I just wanted to give you a heads up that you can earn rewards starting next week. And as always, I will continue to do my free Fun Fold class. So if you spend $50 in my online store, then I will send you a free Fun Fold card class in the mail, and we'll have a Zoom class so you can be anywhere in the United States. And it was a lot of fun last time. So, well, the last time we did it, it's always fun, but the last time particularly. So thank you for joining me. I will see you next week. Next week we'll be back on Wednesday. Sorry for the change of days. So I will see you next Wednesday. Have a great rest of your week.